Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another video. I almost said vlog, but this is clearly not going to be a vlog. Today I'm going to be filming a Q&A, but I thought we could do it while I get ready for the day. I have some meetings later, so I'm just going to do like my regular everyday makeup. Thought it would be fun to like combine the Q&A with something other than me just sitting here and talking. Okay, so I haven't even done my skincare yet, so I'm going to do that really quick. I'm going to use this cream that I got from Aloe. I have only used it a couple times, but I like it so far. It's their luminizing face moisturizer. It's nice. It feels lightweight but really hydrating. It's such a beautiful day today. I've really been trying to make a conscious effort to sit here every day and take in the view, because I just know that I'm likely not gonna have this in my next apartment, and it's really something that not everybody gets to experience every day. I'm also gonna use some of this Tula. Whoa, I should have shaken that. I really like this one. I've been using it since last year, and it's just a very lightweight, glowy sunscreen. It's SPF 30, so it's not like the highest formula that you can get, but it does go really nice on the face. It doesn't have like a white cast or anything, and it works really well in your makeup. Definitely gonna have to wash my hands after this, but I really love this one when I know I'm gonna wear makeup, because there's no tint in it, and then I can just use like a foundation or concealer over top. Also really love the Elta MD, so I kind of alternate between those two when I'm wearing makeup, and then on the days where I'm not wearing makeup, I love to use the Supergoop tinted sunscreen. I think I have the glow screen one. I know that one's really popular, so I'm sure a lot of you have already tried it, but if you haven't, it's a very sheer tinted sunscreen, so it's not, you know, cakey or anything, but it does give you a little bit of color, which is nice when you're not planning on doing anything other than sunscreen. I'll wash my hands, and I'm gonna wet my beauty blender too. Okay, let's start with the questions. These questions are a mix of Instagram and YouTube, so I'm just gonna include whichever ones I feel like are the most relevant, and also like the ones that are most fun to answer. I'm also gonna start with my base, and I think I'm gonna use my Luminous Silk today. Do you ever feel triggered on social media, and how do you avoid those feelings? Love you. I feel like the trick for not getting triggered on social media is to be really selective about who you follow and why you follow them. I think this is a little challenging at first, because obviously, you know, if you want to stay in the know about what's going on and you want to keep up with like the influencer world and maybe the influencers who are in your city, then I think you naturally follow, or you naturally keep up with the people who are current and trendy. But just because people are current and trendy, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily good for you to follow. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow them just because of that reason, you know? And so I think if you really want to have a healthy relationship with social media and with yourself, you have to figure out who the people are that make you feel good when you're on those apps. In some way I can relate to this, because I almost get the sense that some people feel an obligation to continue following people that don't necessarily make them feel good about themselves, because they want to keep up with what's happening and they want to keep up with like the trends and stuff like that, which I totally understand, because even in my industry, I think I have an obligation to kind of keep up with the trends and be in the know of what's going on. But I do think the only way to have a really healthy relationship with social media and to feel good about yourself is to follow people who, one, post content that you admire or that inspires you, and two, remove people that make you feel the opposite. I think it's something that you kind of have to take responsibility for yourself, and just analyze your Instagram, analyze who you're following, and see, okay, how does this make me feel? If it doesn't make me feel good, then, you know, you either unfollow or mute if it's someone who you still need to have a relationship with. Muting is great because it just kind of clears your feed without burning bridges or without ruining relationships, you know what I mean? So use those features to your advantage. I really think that your social media experience is up to you, and I think you're gonna feel a lot more in control when you actually start doing those things. I don't feel like I get triggered on social media a lot. I think the only time that it can sometimes affect me is on a productivity level. And it's usually on the weekends when I see someone on set or someone working. And then I just have to remind myself that everybody has a different schedule. But that's also just a very human thing to do. I don't necessarily think that's bad, and I wouldn't consider that a scenario where I necessarily feel triggered. So yeah, I personally don't really feel that, but I'm also in a unique position because I kind of work in this industry and I see a lot of things that are actually happening versus what it looks like. And so I think the experience for me is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that you're the one in control of what you let into your life and what you let affect you. And obviously, everyone's gonna see stuff that they don't connect with. Everyone's gonna see someone, you know, once in a while who, I don't know, maybe makes you feel some type of way, but for the most part, you're the one in control of what you let in on your feed, what you let into your mind and into your life, right? Okay, this is a really beautiful question. It's a little bit long, but I'm gonna read the whole thing. What advice do you have for holding out for the right relationship and learning to enjoy your own company in the meantime? Originally, this was asked on Instagram, but then she added something to it on YouTube. And she says, I also wanted to add, what would you tell your younger self now, knowing that something so good and effortless was going to come into your life at the exact right time? Also, I'm gonna start using my contour stick by Maria. I really, really love this one. It's such a good shade. So I never really shared my relationships before Avery on social media. He's the first person that I've ever spoken about openly, but also sort of introduced. He's more on my Instagram and not my YouTube, but I decided to share him and just like share about him on here and on Instagram because I knew that he was going to be around and I wanted him to be around. But I was not perfect in my previous dating life. I have dated a number of people who, you know, I maybe thought were going to work out at the time, or who I thought were good for me, and you know, they ended up not being good for me. And I don't regret any of those experiences because ultimately I learned so much from that, and it obviously led me to where I am today, right? So I think sometimes it looks like I held out because I didn't share anything, and I think I did the right thing by not doing that and waiting until I was sure about someone before, you know, introducing them to you guys and as my boyfriend. But that doesn't mean that I held out. You know, I went through some heartbreaks and I dated some people that maybe were not good for me. That being said, I did every single time I, you know, had a situationship or I dated someone for a few months that it didn't work out, I learned something about myself and I learned how to better handle a situation like that in the future. And that's eventually how I ended up taking things slower because, you know, when I was younger, I wasn't very conscious about who I was getting involved with, what their intentions were, if I even really liked them as a person. I think when I was younger, I was just so excited for someone to like me and someone to give me attention. This is just me being fully honest, that I didn't even ask myself if I really like this person, if I really admire this person, you know. I kind of just got swept up and got involved, and then 4 or 5 months later I would get hurt. Over time, I was able to really realize, okay, this is what I'm looking for in someone. This is what it means to be respected. This is what it means to be treated right. This is what it means when a guy actually cares about you versus someone who doesn't. But anyway, if I were to give advice on how to hold out for the right person, I would say that I think dating is really important, and I would never advise someone not to date unless you are fresh out of a breakup and you don't feel ready to do so. Then you should just heal yourself first and focus on that. But if you feel good about yourself, then I would go out and date, but take things slow. Don't rush into anything, and don't get yourself in this position where you are head over heels for someone that you don't know, because that's ultimately how you get hurt the most, is by, you know, getting caught up by their looks or getting caught up by things that they maybe have, or like a status that they have or something. You know, you start to create scenarios in your own head, and then next thing you know it, you're your heart broken over a guy who was never even the guy that you thought he was, right? And then advice for learning how to enjoy your own company. I think you have to actually like who you are, and you have to value yourself and respect yourself and learn what you have to offer and what you bring to the table, because if you don't understand that, then other people can't understand that either. And that's also how you allow yourself to be disrespected in a relationship. Yeah, you just have to learn to love yourself and accept yourself too, because you're not gonna love every aspect of yourself either, but you have to be okay with it and you have to kind of embrace it. Because if you are still in a place where you're trying to hide something of yourself, where you're trying to be something that you're not, then that's gonna come across and you're gonna attract the wrong people, or you're gonna push people away because you're not being genuine, you know? And so the funny part about all of this is that all of these separate elements tie in together. When you love who you are, when you value what you bring to the table, who you are as a person, and you accept your quirks or your sensitive side or whatever it is you think is hard to love, that's when you show up as yourself, and that's when people find you attractive and you bring in the right person. And I also think that's when you simultaneously start enjoying your own company, because you're not judging yourself anymore. And your alone time becomes more valuable than just going out on any old date with any old guy. You know, you really start to become more and more, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not specific, but you become a little bit more picky about your time and who you give it to. And that's when you know, ultimately attract the right person. The second part of that question was, what would you tell your younger self now, knowing that something so good and effortless was gonna come into your life? I have said this to my friends before, and I'll tell you guys the same thing, but there's one of two things. The first is I would take things a little bit less serious, because I look back on situations now where I'm like, oh, I should have just enjoyed that. I shouldn't have not taken everything so seriously, because ultimately not every guy is going to be your boyfriend. Not every guy is going to be your husband, you know? Some guys just come along to teach you a lesson. The second thing, which I kind of touched on already, but I think it's so important, and I could have done this better for sure, is to just take your time and get to know someone for who they actually are before you get your feelings involved, before you get attached to them. Because I think you really want to get to know somebody and their intentions before you kind of give your feelings and your emotions to them and be intimate. Okay, I'm gonna do my brows, because I just realized that I didn't even brush them up after doing my skincare. I'm also gonna do the next question. I was wondering if you could share your financial habits. Like, how often do you check your finances? If you write down your expenses, what kind of financial products you have. I also remember you talking about how you saved money for your move last year. Do you organize that? Do you create a separate account? Okay, I feel like I've talked about finances quite a bit, but I don't really know exactly what I've shared. So I'm just gonna share the things that I do on the regular, and I'll just share like whatever comes to mind. So my situation is a little bit different because I am technically like a self-employed person, so I don't have a set paycheck every week or every month, and I kind of have to like work with my expenses differently than the average person would. But I'll still tell you guys kind of what my process is when I get paid. My agency has one payday in the week, and so every week I check to see if I've gotten paid. If I have gotten paid, then I will take out the tax right away. It's the first thing that I do, is take out the tax money, and I just put that in a separate account. I don't even look at that because that's not my money. Once I take the tax money out, then I kind of separate it into other categories. So I have my rent, I have my credit card bill, I have my, you know, traditional savings, and then I have my investment accounts. So that's kind of how I split things up. But yeah, since I don't know exactly how much I'm gonna make every month, I kind of just estimate the best as I can. I have a set amount that I want to invest every month. I have a set amount that I want to save every month, and everything else I kind of just figure out as I go. That's honestly the best way for me to do it without thinking about it too much, overthinking. Forgot to show you guys my brow pencil. I'm still using this one from L'Oreal years later. I love this one. I'll link it down below. And then I'm gonna go in with this Benefit Brow Wax. I like this one too. My battery's gonna die. I think when it comes to money, you have to figure out what works best for you. For me, I really just needed something that was easy for me to understand. I could do myself. I didn't need to have someone manage for me, but also, you know, has the portfolio that I wanted and has like the risk level that I wanted. And that's kind of what's working for me right now. I'm still using this blush from Tarte, by the way. I know I've been using it forever. It's the Amazonian Clay 12-hour blush in the shade Exposed. I just think it's the perfect color. I can never get enough of it. Tips for staying true to yourself in the modeling industry. It's a great question. I think that now more than ever in the modeling industry, they want people who are interesting, unique, diverse. It's not just about, oh my gosh, I knew this was gonna happen. It's not just about this cookie cutter girl or person anymore, which I think is great. And I think now more than ever, there's room for so many different kinds of people. And this is something I tell aspiring models too when they're going, oh my God, can you imagine I dropped this on the couch? I think agencies want to see who you are and they want to see what you're about and what makes you unique. So my best advice for staying true to yourself in the industry is, one, figure out who you are and be exactly that. And two, don't get caught up in this idea that you have to be something in order to be successful. I actually think that you have a much greater chance of success by being authentic and staying true to yourself than you would if you were, you know, trying to be what's maybe cool or trendy right now. Because trends end and trends fade, but being an authentic person and not being afraid to show that is something that is so timeless, and people are always going to want someone like that. Okay, I'm about to do something that you're technically not supposed to do, but I've recently been curling my eyelashes after doing mascara. It just makes such a difference. You just have to wait until the mascara is fully dried and then be really gentle when you release the eyelash curler. I'm the worst with this. I still feel like I'm scarred from when I was a teenager and being on set and having to have my eyelashes curled. It was horrible. Also, I'm gonna use the Pillow Talk lip liner. I know it's so basic, but it's just such a good color. Oh, wait, my boyfriend's calling. Look at this. That's my camera setup. I thought that I was recording, but I wasn't. I finished my lip off camera. I have both the pencil and the lipstick, but I honestly only really wear this when I'm going out. So if I want to add a little color to my lips for daytime, then I just use this and I kind of like smudge it out, which is what I did today. I am going to end off this Q&A with one more question. And I had to think about this one for a little while because it's not something you get asked every single day, but I did think it was an interesting question. What's something you've learned about yourself that maybe surprised you? I do have an answer for this. I don't know if it's necessarily surprising or if it's something that I am growing into as I'm getting older, but I am realizing that I'm a lot more direct and blunt than I thought. Again, I don't think it's something that I didn't know about myself. I think it's just something that I am embracing more as I get older. I think when I was younger, I maybe dimmed that a little bit because not everybody likes when you're so straightforward and so blunt. But as I get older, I really like that about myself because I think it's always better when you know where you stand with someone and how someone feels rather than someone saying one thing and actually meaning something else. Okay guys, that's gonna be it for my Q&A and everyday makeup. I hope you enjoyed this video. I did get a couple questions about my apartment situation and my work and career goal situation, but I feel like I addressed a lot of those things in my last vlog, so I wanted to touch on some other fun questions in this video. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.